Hello everyone and welcome to this ACID training program. My name is Vamsidhar and I would take you through the different chapters associated with statistics as well as numerical analysis, which are the two key subjects that are typically required for the ACID entrance exam. Now, whenever we talk about the statistics, the first thing we all would be doing we all would be talking of is data analysis. The meaning of statistics typically is something to do with the data and then the analysis of the data. So from that standpoint, the first thing I would like to look at is the types of data. What do we mean by types of data? How many kinds of data typically exists? So the major classification I can do to the data is a numerical data versus a non-numerical data. As you can very well make out, numerical data is the data in the form of numbers, whereas the non-numerical data, the statisticians use a word called categorical. Any data in the form of categories, we classify it as categorical data. So the simple numerical data is any numbers. So for example, 2, 2.5, 4.125, all these are examples of numerical data. They may be in the form of integers, they may be in the form of decimal numbers like this. Whatever it is, if it contains a number in it, we classify it as numerical data. Whereas any data which is required for analysis but is not numerical in nature, we classify it as the categorical data. For example, the gender, male, female. There is no number associated in this data. Or I can talk about fat, medium, thin. So there is some data, but it is not in the form of numbers. So such kind of data I classify as categorical data or non-numerical data. Alright. Now, once I look at a numerical data, we have two more subdivisions inside that numerical data. The numerical data, I split it into two categories. One is the discrete data and the other one is continuous. When we use the word discrete, only a few values are possible. Finite set of values are possible for a discrete data, whereas almost any value is possible in case of continuous data. It's not a finite set. There is an infinite set of values that goes into a continuous data. Let's take a few examples of what is a discrete data. For example, I throw a dice. I know that the possibilities or the values that can come up are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I cannot get a 5.5. I cannot get 7. I cannot get 2.2. I cannot get minus. And I know there are only 6 possible outcomes that can come up. So when the number of values is very finite in number, we call it as a discrete data. Another thing, number of people who out of 50 who passed in an exam. It could be only either 1 or 2 or 3 or 20 or 30. It's a finite countable kind of number. So any such kind of data which is primarily countable, finite in number, only finite possibilities can occur, we call such a kind of data as discrete data within the numbers itself. Whereas wherever the numbers are, a large number of possibilities can exist. For example, the height of a person or the weight of a person. It need not be in integers, right? It can be in decimals very well. I can say my height is 168.3 centimeters. Someone else can say 168.32. So, almost a good set of values are possible, and there is not a finite set of values. In such case, that kind of data is what we call as continuous data. So, both are numbers, but within the numbers, we have a classification of finite as well as infinite, which is a discrete data. If I can count how many possibilities can occur, and it is a continuous data if the infinite possibilities can occur, and almost good set of values are possible within a particular range, then I call them as continuous data. Then when it comes to non-numerical data, there are three types of categorizations. The non-numerical data, we find there are three types of categorizations. One is the attribute based data, or sometimes called as dichotomous data. Then we have nominal data, and then ordinal data. So these are the three types of data in categorical data. When I say attribute based or dichotomous, as the word itself is saying, there are only two. Di is two. So there are only two possible attributes, two possible values, like yes or no, right? Or died versus alive. The only two possible states can exist. In those cases, we call such a kind of data as a dichotomous or an attribute based data. Whereas when I look at the nominal data, it is again categories, more than two categories. More than two categories, but there is no real relationship between the two categories. For example, the states in a country. So we have, let's say, 30 odd states in a country. So that 30 states can become a nominal data because they are categories. Probably I may say 1 means Andhra Pradesh, 2 means Bihar, etc. In that case, the 30, I am giving some numbers to these 30 different states in some order. There is no relationship that 2 is greater than 1 doesn't mean that Bihar is greater than Andhra Pradesh. There is no order in which I am assigning the categories or assigning the numbers to the categories. In such case, Such kind of data is what we call as nominal data. Whereas if I have an order in the categorization, for example, strongly agree, agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree. What we are seeing are order of importance, high, medium, low. Where what we are seeing is the values of that particular variable are showing some kind of ascending or descending order. Wherever I can assign a variable whose categorical values are in some ascending or descending order, I look at it as a discrete, I look at it as an ordinal variable, ordinal data. So within the categorical itself, we have attribute based data, nominal based data, and ordinal based data. So before I proceed with any kind of analysis on the data that is available to us, I need to see whether it first falls into numerical or non-numerical. If it is a numerical data, do I need to call it, do I need to look at it as a discrete or a continuous? And in case if it is non-numerical or a categorical data, should we look at it as an attribute based data, a nominal data, or an ordinal data? Because only once I have a clarity on this aspect, we can do some level of analysis applying the appropriate statistical tools and techniques. I hope this basic classification of the various types of data is comfortable for you. In case you have any further query regarding the classification of the data, you can very well give us a call on the number that is shown below on the slide, 9889848012123, or you can visit the website www.pacegurus.com to post your query through an email. Thanks a lot for listening to this session on types of data. Thank you very much.